Every old temple they would restore. Don't you first tear down the old before? Jalal ad-Din Rumi. In the Gospels, Jesus speaks frequently and often ominously about Jerusalem. These statements are often seen as predictions of the Roman destruction of the city in 70 CE. But a closer reading, especially through a spiritual and prophetic lens, reveals a deeper meaning. Jesus was not mourning the loss of buildings, but foretelling the dismantling of an old spiritual framework, a scaffolding of law and ritual, so that a new revelation might descend. This paper explores how Jerusalem symbolizes not just a geographic city, but the Mosaic religious order, which Jesus came to fulfill and transcend. What was to be torn down was not the city of stones, but a temporary form of the divine law, soon to be replaced by what Revelation calls the New Jerusalem. Chapter 1. The prophetic tone of Jesus' lament. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, your house is left unto you desolate. Matthew 23:37-38. This is not a political judgment, but a spiritual one. The house is the entire religious structure that had hardened into lifeless form. Its desolation is not material ruin, but spiritual vacancy, the withdrawal of God's presence from a system that no longer responds to divine guidance. Chapter 2, the tearing down of stones, a symbol of transformation. There shall not be left here one stone upon another. Matthew 24:2, Mark 13:2, Luke 21:6. This isn't a prophecy of military invasion. It's the unveiling of a spiritual transformation. The Mosaic dispensation was scaffolding, necessary but temporary. Once the cornerstone, Christ, had come, the ceremonial structures were to be taken down to reveal the inner spiritual edifice. Chapter 3, the time of visitation and spiritual blindness. You did not know the time of your visitation. Luke 19:44, the fall. Jesus laments his inner first, a blindness to the divine presence in their midst. Just as many failed to recognize Moses, so Jerusalem failed to see the glory standing before it. This is not about conquest. It is about missed recognition. Chapter 4, worship transcending geography. The hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father, but in spirit and truth. John chapter 4:21-24. This is Jesus' spiritual revolution. Worship is no longer tied to place. The covenant becomes inward, universal. Revelation's New Jerusalem comes down from heaven, not rebuilt by human hands, but gifted by divine grace. Chapter 5, the New Jerusalem, heaven-born civilization. I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. Revelation 21:2. The New Jerusalem isn't a reformed version of the old. It is a new spiritual civilization. As Rūmī says, Hurbanai kehin, ke abadan kenend no kehi awal kehinam rawiran kenend. Every old temple they would restore, don't you first tear down the old before? This divine pattern is clear. The idols of gave way to Abraham's altar. Mosaic law replaced Egyptian traditions. Christ transcended Moses' form. The old is not destroyed for destruction's sake, but to make way for fulfillment. Conclusion. Jerusalem is not stones and mortar. Jesus was not mourning Titus' siege. He was mourning a form that had become a shell, a house without spirit, a ritual without love. Destroy this temple, and I will raise it up. John 2:19 refers not to stone, but to the true temple, the revelation of the Word made flesh. Jerusalem in its highest sense is the divine law. When a new law is revealed, a new city descends. The old yields, not because it was false, but because it has served its time. The prophets do not destroy, they fulfill. Jerusalem as the symbol of law. Abdul-Baha explains in Some Answered Questions, the law of God is also described as the holy city, the New Jerusalem. It is the law of God which descends from heaven and is called new. That which is renewed is the law of God. Agape 68-69. Thus, when Jesus cries, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Matthew 23:37, he is not accusing a city of bloodshed, but lamenting a religious system so fixed in its forms that it cannot recognize the spirit of truth. As you've insightfully noted, Jerusalem didn't kill Jesus, but the attachment to the notion that the Sabbath could not be broken did. Baha'u'llah similarly warns, by holding fast unto names, And by clinging to vain imaginings, people are kept back from the dayspring of heavenly signs. The Kitab-i-Ikan, Pertor and Ben Alta and Bardhan 169. This is the spiritual pattern. Forms must fall so essence can shine. Scaffolding must be dismantled when the divine architect completes the work. Even the temple of Christ must yield, the Quran affirms. We do not abrogate a verse or cause it to be forgotten, but bring forth one better than it or similar to it. Quran 2:106. Even Christ's own dispensation in this pattern must yield. His vision of Jerusalem being thrown down is not limited to the Mosaic era. It includes his own. For the true city that God builds cannot be made by hands, but comes down from heaven. So when Revelation describes the New Jerusalem as descending like a bride adorned for her husband, Abdul-Baha interprets this as the appearance of the Most Holy Book, a new divine law that replaces and transcends all former laws.